So good afternoon, all of you. So warm welcome to today's webinar. So we will guide you today with the strategies or roadmap you can have for your FRM level 2 journey. So without wasting further time, I'll just introduce our panelist, Mr. Subramaniam. He has cleared his FRM with top quartiles. Apart from that, he has a rich experience of say around 27 years in banking, serving like nationally and internationally across various domains that you could relate in anti-money laundering, as a system auditor and in treasury, managing a lot of big AUM, foreign exchange market, trade financial professional. And like I would emphasize, but I could just spot this. He's BSc mathematics. Perhaps that could have helped him in his FRM journey. He can talk more about it. So, like the flow of the webinar is like I'll just hand over to Mr. Subramaniam after me. So he will walk you through the general practices or like strategies he had for his FRM level 2. Then there, if there are any specific questions in that are applicable to your cases, so feel free to ask that to sir, and like yeah, get your queries resolved, because once you're done FRM, it will open a lot of opportunities for you. So I understand it's a crucial time for you. So take as much benefit as from sir. So yeah, sir, over to you. And we are honored to have like we are like incredibly honored to have you on our panel. So hope the audience get most benefit out of you. So over to you, please.
So thank you, Shashank, and good afternoon, friends. I'm happy to be here. And first of all, congratulations for having cleared your part one. So the best part is you have climbed a challenging hill. So the destination is really very near to you. So just before dwelling anything into sharing my experience, the best part is, in my experience, part two is far more easier than part one, despite the curriculum is vast. Probably because I work for a bank, this operational risk is easy for me because day in and day out I have been, I won't say I'm handling directly, but I have been part of this operational risk in the as a part of my job. So that is why I might have felt op risk is very easy. So, but having said and done, part two is definitely easier than part one, despite the vast curriculum. So this is the first statement I would like to add. Second thing is, FRM is a serious journey. We are committing substantial money also in that. So we have to do justice by devoting time for that. Without persistency, nothing will happen. So you have to have the perseverance and patience and practice. That's the way if I want to put it in PPP. So even if one P is missing, I think we'll have a challenge. That's what I want to make a introductory remark. Uh, So I just want to share my experience. I'm not a professional educator, professional what do you call academician. So that way, I just consulted with Finiture because I was benefited from Finiture a lot in terms of the study group they are having and in terms of the mark test they provide. So I used their mark text extensively. That helped me for the what do you call simulating the real exams scenario. So that is the thing. See again, as all of us know, FRM part 2, the overall percentage is more than 50, while part 1 is less than 50. That is why I said we have climbed the uphill task and the destination is very near. So if we can continue with the same vigor, I think we can easily clear it. Coming back to my experience, I appeared in May. I started my preparation somewhere in the end of June, and I had a very, very, what do you call, disciplined study schedule. So I practiced, I targeted at almost one chapter a day, and a weekend I spent around about say for 4 to 5 hours a day. So, and one advantage I was having this, I have to travel to office about 2.5 hours a day. So the traveling time I was using, what do you call, specifically to watch the videos. So I will keep on watching one video or the other video. I made best use of the traveling time. So I don't know how many of you are in my same situation. So coming back to the point, first I have a Excel sheet with the chapter wise study schedule. Put a date for each of the chapter. I think we have 103 chapters in 6 books. Okay, and try to start with the easiest thing. Once you bog down with the difficult thing, say for example, credit risk is the most difficult thing in my opinion, whereas current issues may be the easiest thing. Current issues is a low hanging fruit. What I believe is, see, there were 8 questions in current issues. I'm sure I would have not answered more than 5 correctly. That is my estimation. But even then, I managed to get number one quartile. So 8 questions easily you can knock it off 6. And current issues is the easiest one. So see whether you can start with current issues. So that one book you can finish it off maybe max 5 days. So then come to the market risk, which is the next easiest. Mm. Mhm. Among all, I felt market risk is the easiest thing in terms of the numericals and in terms of the concept. Mm. Credit risk is really you have to dwell very deep unless either I don't know how many of you are students, how many of you are working professionals. Working professionals find it relatively easy the credit risk. For students, you have to assume a lot as if you are taking a housing loan, as if you are taking a what happens if I take a personal loan, what happens if I take a housing loan. So bank is in the business of lending. So bank must be lending to what you can say millions of customers. How they are managing what we call it as a portfolio. Hmm. So you have to relate your own experience with the subject. Otherwise, everything will everything you will think everything as a foreigner or alien to you.
And
Next,
sir, yeah, sorry to interrupt. So
yeah,
if I were to set an order, it would be current issues followed by market risk, followed by credit risk, and then we'll go to operational.
and risk management and investment management.
Yeah, so like the order, like it's just if anyone wants to set an order, current issues, market risk, credit risk, operational risk, and investment and risk management,
That's
right?
right. That order suits me, but individual preferences may be
Yeah,
vary.
yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. Yeah, we are here to take your rich experience. But yeah, if anyone feels that that order is not suitable for him, yeah, I agree that individual, maybe say for example, if I'm working in a credit risk, then perhaps I would find more credit risk more easier than current issues. So that specific scenario would be there. So they can just tweak the strategy according to. But yeah, just few pointers for the audience here. Yeah, so over to you.
So credit risk, you should have, there are a lot of models, but my suggestion is pick up the important chapters and focus on the important concepts. I think every service provider, including Furniture, always provides the important concepts. So focus more on the important concepts. And as you know, part two, if you have a strong common sense, you will be able to eliminate two answers. That is very easy. So the remain apart from numericals, I'm not talking about numericals for the time being. I'll come back to that. For the theory portion, if you have some prior experience, some prior knowledge, you can easily weed out the two options. So the remaining two, whichever comes closer, you can choose. This is possible only if you have thoroughly reviewed the important concepts. I don't think garp deviates much from the important concepts. So if there are about, say, let us say, hypothetically speaking, let us take suppose there are 200 important concepts. In my belief and in my experience, I would say around 60 important concepts will straight away come in the exam. So that the 20 questions only will be, Garth may be throwing a spanner on the wheel or, hitting the ball outside the park. Hmm. So that way you can, what I can say, you have to strategize your preparation. If you start reading each page GARP book, then you need a PhD in risk management. So GARP curriculum is so vast, and I think if I remember correctly, 2,500 pages of the material. You won't find any time to read a master through all this. Now the target is to pass the exam, isn't it? The target is not to master the risk management and go as a professor in garp, right? If that is the target, mm, have a strategy to focus on what is important and what is not important. But I see everything is important in the sense to have a cursory read. You don't skip anything in reading. Just add a cursory read, but don't spend too much on time on any one concept. Don't get stagnated anywhere. If you are getting stagnated, then you will feel frustrated and you will not have the motivation to move ahead. So keep moving is the key here. Keep moving even if you don't understand. Spend some time, ask some query in the group. Definitely the study group will, someone or the other will answer. And Finiture, in my experience, they are available 24/7. They always answered all my queries, no matter what being the time. Even at one day I posted a query on 1 p.m. Midnight. But I think surprisingly they answered very quickly. No, I'm not advocating furniture or endorsing furniture, but I'm saying about the commitment they exhibit to the community. That is what I want to highlight. Hmm. So next is the operational risk. Operational risk, again, it is a vast subject, but the underpin of the operational risk is the common sense, nothing else. So all of us are having a house or car or whatever, two-wheeler or anything. We insure, right? So that is one of the managing the operational risks. That way, try to relate the concepts to your life. So that will help for the retention. Third is the risk management and investment management. Again, yeah, very technical book. Unless you have the prior experience, you are gonna find a bit difficult. Here, you must need some help, either a service provider, prep provider, exam prep provider, or a study group, without which you may not be able to sail through. But the current issues is the easiest one. I have spoken about it. Am I missing anything, Shashank? Market, hop,
Ma
credit?
ma no, no, sir. I think you covered.
Mhm.
So yeah, in general, any books, I think you referred that not to go for garp, and
I think, yeah, thanks for that,
yeah.
Shashank. I think I found Swisher is very useful, and I have not read anything apart from Swisher, but I watched a lot of videos. The videos are available in plenty in Google. So for wherever I'm getting struggle, wherever I'm not able to understand Caesar, I'll immediately watch that particular video of that particular chapter. So the strategy I followed is I'll read a chapter, I'll immediately watch the related video, and then I'll attend the chapter wise question of that chapter. So one chapter is done. So I'll try to do at least 15 chapters a day, so that I was able to cover in say about 4 weeks. I was able to cover the entire curriculum. Thereafter, I focused only on marks, question banks, question banks, question banks. So in the process, you will remember the formula when you practice the question banks. So I was able to remember the formulas by practicing question, especially this Finchur mark question. I purchased they gave me 6 marks, which exactly simulates the exam environment. So I religiously attended all the 6 marks in around 3 days. I targeted 2 marks in a weekend. So around 3 weekends, I was able to complete all the six. So there I was on a first mark I scored 45, 45, but in the final mark I scored 75. So my experience is if you target scoring anywhere between 65 to 70 in the mark, then I am reasonably sure that you are through. I somehow all of us do not know what is the GARP methodology or GARP what do you call evaluation pattern or evaluation mechanism, but it is widely believed, and I also believe based on my personal experience, if you are able to score 60, 80 means if you are able to score about 45 questions right, 45 to, so maybe having some cushion 50 questions right, then you will be scoring, you will be coming out successfully, and perhaps you may be scoring one in all quartiles. That's what my feeling is. So this is what I want to share my mind. Over to Shashank if I have missed anything.
No, I think just as I realized that treasury and liquidity risk management, if you
Hmm.
would like to touch upon at
Correct.
any pointers there.
Okay, thanks. That's what I was thinking. I missed this treasury and liquidity. Okay. Because without help, you cannot do the treasury and liquidity because unless you are already working in a bank. Hmm. So how the banks actually manage the treasury, and you have to think like banks in the business of borrowing and lending, right? I borrow from 10 people, I lend to 20 people or 15 people or 5 people, whatever. So in the process, suppose all of us must be having a bank account, savings bank account. Okay, anytime a savings bank account holder can withdraw the entire balance, right? Then how are the bank is managing? How is the bank is managing? How the bank is managing? So likewise, you have to relate as if with your personal life. Then only things will fall into place. Otherwise, things will what do you call will remain or continue to be very elusive. So
Yeah.
I think treasury and liquidity is a very very technical area. You need to take some help for that in any form.
Yeah. So just to add, I think what sir is referring to, try to understand intuition behind each concept. Try relating it with the areas that you're currently working in. Of course, a person cannot work in all areas at the same time, market risk, credit risk. Yeah, but at least in an area what you're working in. And like even if I'm not working in some area, I can try visualizing like because as sir said that say for example I'm working in market risk, but it is like I might be buying home loan. It's worth visualizing that how bank at a national level, say for example, my individual home loan might be contributing some credit risk to the bank's portfolio, but at a at a bank level, how bank is managing that credit risk, how they are keeping the capital aside for the credit risk they are exposed to. It's worth visualizing, even if I'm in a market risk domain. Does that sounds good?
Yes, very good. I think Shashank has raised a pertinent point. Since the Shashank spoke about capital, I just want to put the capital requirement in a layman perspective. Okay. I don't want to go into any theory, just I'm trying to put it in a layman perspective. See, capital is a very scarce commodity for the any bank. Okay. Rising capital entails a cost for the bank. What Basel says that each bank should have a minimum 8% capital adequacy ratio. What does that mean? Suppose I'll come to the risk-weighted assets in the second statement. First, try to put it in a simple way. Let us assume a bank. That bank has given only one home loan for 100 rupees. Okay. So for that, giving that loan 100 rupees, bank needs what? They need fund, right? How do the banks raise fund? They normally go for deposits. Somebody would have deposited 100 rupees that the bank has given to a borrower for a home loan as 100 rupees. What Basel says is if your loan book is 100, then in the liability side, your capital should be minimum 8. See, there are a lot of what do you call uh,
Provisions,
enhancements
yeah.
like capital conservation buffer, counter cyclical buffer. With the forget about all this, the simple funda is in the liability side, bank should have a capital of 8 rupees at the minimum and 6.5 as the tier 1 and the Baki 1.5 as the tier 2. Now tier 3 is gone. Again, thank for the, just some thought has come to my mind. Don't too much worry about Basel 1 and 2. You focus on Basel 3. I think I can relatively, reasonably confidently say you can forget Basel 1 and 2 because the Basel 1 and 2 are gone are the days. I don't think GARP will test you anything on 1 and 2. I think straight away you focus your entire energy on Basel 3. And Basel 3, if you have any doubts, the study group is there. You can reach out to me also. But because I'm strong in this capital adequacy, because it's a directly day-to-day work for me. So just I will speak another statement about the risk-weighted asset also. See, bank can give a loan in Chennai also. Bank can give a loan in Meghalaya also. The risk in giving a loan in Chennai is different to the risk in giving to Meghalaya. So the geographical, depending on the geography, the risk weight differs. What do you mean by risk weight? Hypothetically speaking, don't immediately cross-check with the Basel regulation. Hypothetically speaking, if the risk is different, the risk is different. So a home loan in a coastal area near a beach will be the risk is different. Similarly, if I have given you 100 rupees loan, the risk is different. If I had given you 1 crore loan, it is a risk is different. So the risk is different for the different kinds of exposure and different amount of exposure. So that is why GARP has said for different type of exposure, the risk weight will be different. Say for example, for one type of loan, the risk weight could be 100. For another type of loan, the risk weight could be 125. What does that mean? The 100 rupees loan, for the purpose of calculating risk weight, If the risk weight is 150%, then I have to take that in my calculation as 150 rupees, which means instead of maintaining 8 rupees capital, I have to maintain a 12 rupees capital. That is what about this, all about this risk weight. Am I making sense?
Yes, of course. These are not from, I mean, even I could relate for other anyone else from audience also can confirm. Does that sounds good or any clarification is required? Anyone? I can see Lalit, Chandan, Parag. Anyone can acknowledge. Does it make sense? What sir just explained?
All good, sir.
We are not sure. I have not come across this topic. So
No,
I'll
it was just, yeah, it was just a generic thing. Like if you are lending 100 rupee, so the Basel norm says that you have to keep 8 rupees capital. And if you are lending 150, it just like now you will match 100 to 150 and your capital would be 12. It was just not really something we or even I have not come across, but I could relate what's but yeah, I'm happy to take any questions if you may have in the group, as I said that he's coming from that area. So yes, sir. Over to you. Anything, sir, else apart from that in liquidity and treasury?
Treasury, LCR and NSFR are the most important concepts.
Okay.
Is what liquidity coverage ratio and net stable funding ratio. So these two things are very, very important for the sustainability of the bank. Hmm.
Okay. And if I were to talk about important topics from market risk, one I have heard from our faculty is backtesting value at risk. Other than that, just for benefit of all audience, anything that comes to your mind from your recent exam, like I think volatility smiles. There are a lot of other learning objectives. The backtesting war I could relate. Anything else in market risk specifically which candidates should focus more on?
I think you have summed up very well. I think sharing the list, jotting down the list of important concepts and keep revising really helps.
Okay. And anything from creditors that immediately comes to your mind, of course I'll just take it a list from you and I can put it in a group, or even I'll just try consulting with other faculties also here, and just for benefit of all I can put in a group. So yeah, so Parag, you can just unmute yourself and ask question. I think Parag just messaged me that he has some questions. So yeah, over to you, Parag. Please feel free to ask.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, sir, for giving us an overview and prepping us. I think it was the right amount of motivation needed before the start of the preparation. Uh, I actually have a three-part question. Uh, the first is when you started the preparation for part two, did you revise part one anytime during the course of it? That is the first question. Uh, second, question is you mentioned you started your preparations in late June and you gave the exam in May. And so I wanted to ask, our next exam is in November. Is it too early to go for an attempt, or I'm a working professional, so would it be feasible to wait until May to give the exam, or just wanted to know your thoughts on that. And the third question is the part two more theoretical based than part one, or it's a similar structure as it was in part one? Thank you.
Thank you, Parag. I will answer your second question first based on my experience. You can, may I know your background? You are working professional in the financial sector or some other sector?
In investment management, yes.
You can take in August.
I can take in August.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
November is haram se you can do it. Okay.
Okay.
And part two is definitely far more easier than part one. Hmm.
Okay.
And I'm seeing one of the participant Akash Bandwal, and he is very very clear in his concepts. Okay. Once you
Hey,
are clear in his
hey, hi, sir.
your concepts, it will be a cakewalk for you. And our what do you call, our objective is to pass the exam, not to do a PhD in risk management, right? So if you want to do a PhD in risk management, the strategy should be different. If the objective is to clear the FRM, then November is easily possible. Only you need to have some steady plan and have a focused attention and keep focus on the important concepts. Don't stagnate anywhere. Don't dwell too much on any particular concepts. Hmm. And I forget your third question. Could you please repeat for me?
Sure. So the third question was, is part two more theoretical based, as in more regulations and more
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
talks about that than part one, or yeah?
Correct, correct. See, I got around 20 questions in numerical. So 80, 20 out of 80 works out to 25%.
Hmm.
So I think that has been the experience of many candidates. As we know, the question paper differs from persons to persons and day to day. Mm. And as we all know, depending on the difficulty level, we stand a better or worse chance. That is another point. So, the numericals are concentrated in three books only. One is market, the second is credit, third is risk management and investment management. Operational risk, generally in my paper, there were no questions on numerical on op risk. Okay. So you can that way you can plan 20 questions will be there, and the formulas number of formulas are far more fewer than the part one. So that is one advantage we have in part two. And uh, there were some twisted questions. Garp used to throw a spanner on the wheel. So they in mutton model, instead of asking, we were prepared for value of equity, right? But I was asked for value of debt. So some sort of twist also happens. That also we should be prepared. See, overall, I think part one and part two in terms of percentage, the same 25% numerical remains. And I think missed your first question also. Sorry for that. Could you please repeat for me?
Not at all. Not at all. The
Refreshment of
first,
level one, I think. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
go on, Parag.
Did you, yeah? Did you revise part one anytime during while you're preparing
No,
part two?
no, no. The answer is no. Part one, part two are completely different. You don't need not to have any prior knowledge of part one for part two. That's my experience. Mm.
Understood. Thank you so much, sir.
Mm.
Yeah, over to Lalit. Lalit, you had some question, and then Lerato, you can ask. Lalit, are you around? Okay, Lerato, you can go for first then.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I have a question. You mentioned that you were doing 7 readings per day, and can you just elaborate on that part? And you said after every reading you would do the questions. Are you saying you were doing the questions in the question bank after you finish a reading? That's my question.
That's right. I was targeting 7 to 10 readings per week, not a day, per a day. So I was targeting one chapter a day. I will read the Swisher book, and then I'll watch the related video, and I'll practice the question bank for that chapter. Maybe usually for a chapter there will be some 15 to 20 questions for each chapter. So I will practice that. So that has been my
Oh,
strategy. So I was
okay.
targeting
No.
one chapter a day, means
uh,
reading the Spicer book, watching the video, and attending the question paper for that chapter. So
Okay,
weekend I
thank you.
target some 2 to 3 chapters. So overall I was targeting 10 readings per week.
Oh, that's a good strategy. Thank you very much.
I was having an Excel sheet, day-wise Excel sheet. Soon after completing, I will mark it so that I can monitor my progress and feel good. And even if I slipping it as a spill over it, I will try to do some overtime and try to finish on my best effort basis.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, so we can see the results from here from outcome. So yeah, fair point. Anyone else would like to ask anything to sir? Lalit, I think you earlier picked me directly. Anyone else? I see, can see Parag, Akash, Lalit, Papi.
No, Akash Panwal is more qualified to share his time
Yeah,
because he
Oh,
is
nothing like that.
very what do you call, dynamic person and
no, no.
energetic. All the more the energy level of Akash is really commendable.
Hi. Yeah, true,
Not like
true.
that. So just wanted to ask you one thing regarding the liquidity book and the operational risk. So like we have a term structure available asset and the term structure expected cash flow. And I get confused in that chapter, when they ask about if the TSA will increase or what would be impact on TSLGC, right? So like have you like faced such kind of issue when you were preparing for?
No, see, liquidity was a child's play for me because
Mhm,
I have handled liquidity on my own in one of my
mhm.
earlier assignments.
Okay,
So I was
okay,
handling it day in and day out. So that
okay.
Actually, don't go about the term structure and all. What I would maybe we can have a offline discussion also. But for the benefit of the group, what I will put it is you remember the maturity ladder. Suppose 10 customers are depositing funds with the bank. One customer would have deposited for 1 year. Some retired people would have deposited for 10 years. Some people would have deposited for 5 years. How long the
Okay.
bank is having the funds as per the residual maturity, not the original maturity. So that remains the liquidity. So that is what technically they are calling it as a term structure. But in our day-to-day life, we call it as a maturity ladder.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Okay.
Uh, Good afternoon, sir. Uh, uh,
Yes, please.
Actually, I am working as senior manager in a public sector bank.
Mhm,
Sir, I was going through operational risk and investment management risk book,
mhm.
but operational risk is so vast that whatever I did, I just can't remember. Means I can't just recall the things whichever I have read through operational risk and risk management. It's all a theory, maximum theory, and I cannot relate to my work also. That is, what I am going to ask is, if I focus on three books, that is market, credit, and liquidity risk, can I go through the exam?
No, unfortunately, no. And first point thing is you are not odd man out. I 100% share your feelings. That was the feeling I was also having the same stress. And multiple times I have expressed my frustration to Akash. So that was that was the experience every one of us are going through. The answer to it is just don't dive deep into this. For operational risk, focus on the question banks. That should be enough, and the feature book should be more than enough. And in, I think you have to jot down, and the material is available in many places. So you have to jot down the important concepts in operational risk and go deep on the important concepts only. And others thing you have a surface browsing. Don't worry if you are not able to remember anything. In the exam, you will be able to recollect. But you cannot skip any book for that matter because you have to score minimum third quartile in thing. The idea is the what we widely believe is try to get first quartile in two, and others all the four you try to land in either two or three. Don't try to if you land in four in any one quartile, then you are gone. That is what the wide belief is. But nobody know that, and nobody can say anything of certain. So with certainty.
Thank you, sir.
So, Bapi, just to summarize, if I were to make a pointer for operational risk, you can just focus more on question banks instead of spending time much on readings. The like directly jump on question and come back to like theory, relatable theory that will help you out.
That's first
Sir, can you suggest me a question bank for operational risk? Actually, I was referring to analyst prep question bank. Is it good enough?
So, Subramanian sir, which one you did for the topic wise preparation? Of course, mocks
AP
we
only.
offer best.
AP only. Analyst.
AP only. So I think you are on a track, Bapi. Very good.
Analyst prep. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
you, sir.
Cool. Anyone else would like to anything to sir before we wrap up call? No, I think no. Then just a general few suggestions from our side. I would encourage. I'll just touch upon this slide.
Just
See,
one second, Shashank.
sure, please, sir.
Only the best part is the pass percentage in part two is far more higher than the part one, as all of you know. Part one pass percentage average hangs around anywhere between 45 to 50, whereas part two the overall pass percentage hovers around 50 to 55. At times it reached to 60 also. That's the statement I want to make. Over to you, Shashank.
So thank you. So just to some tell sir whatever you mentioned, the conditional probability of passing your level 2 given you already clear level 1 is quite higher, I would say. So is that correct, or maybe I read that incorrectly?
No, precisely. That's what the point I was driving in.
Okay, cool, thank you. So and this one is like, I would say that the kind of stage that you are at, like this is a crucial time of your career. Put a like you're on accelerator and get your FRM level through done, because see what happens that over time now, like when you are like at the initial 10 years, whatever you do best would be like more fruitful rather than struggling at this point. So like, yeah, struggle a bit for your level 2, get through in November. It will open a lot of doors for your further career trajectory, and hope you get it smooth throughout your career. But upskilling, I would emphasize more, uh, like after your FRM, like there are a lot of other tools also you can learn, be Python, Tableau, SQL, because FRM will just give you a subject knowledge. Subject knowledge club with a tool may give you a better results at the early stage of the career. So these were the few pointers I would say that like as sir said, that be interactive on the forums. If you're not clear on anything, don't struggle on yourself. Put ask something in group that your query posting will trigger another discussion which you may learn from the interaction. As I think I was highlighting to Akash, perhaps that was a trigger when they are posted to query, they might have interacted. So that's how it works. And don't waste your time, as said, that for operational risk mainly directly jump on question that will relate more. And wrong question banks for mocks, please visit our websites and have a progress tracker for sure. Keep updating your daily progress. As sir said, I think he also used to say that when he used to done with the reading, then he used to update a structure progress tracker. And the structured way, of course, this is what we were discussing. It's mainly to just have to have a blueprint for next few months so that you are not having a random walk or a Brownian motion kind of walk. So it's a structured way you should follow. And of course, I think given this point may not apply to you, given you are already clear level 1, I'm assuming that you all would be very hardworking and dedicated towards your study and work. So, but yeah, I mean, keep that up consistently for your level 2 also. So with that, if there are any no more questions, I would like to thank Sir Subramaniam sir for taking time for us and helping us out with the strategy for your level 2. If you're interested for any of your services that are listed on our website, please DM on the same WhatsApp number. Our team will be happy to assist you. Any closure comments from anyone before we close the call? Okay, I take it as no.
I just wanted to say thank you very much for the session.
Sure, Leonardo. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you, sir.
your closure comments. Thank you.
Thank
So
you,
have a
everyone.
yeah. Thank you,
Happy to
Subramanian
be
sir. Thank you, Subramanian sir, once again for your taking
here.
out your precious time and sharing your rich experience with all of us. And yeah, have a rest of good Sunday. Thank you all.